Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Radium, and today I'm going to be doing another Terraria challenge video, and this one is going to be, honestly, one of my favourite projects I've done thus far. To be honest, I had a bit of fun with a challenge I did a while ago, where I used a random weapon simulator, I guess, or it was a mod that randomly generated me a weapon to use for a certain state of progression. But I saw this video from Gungnir once again, come up where he uses this random generation that randomly gives him a weapon at a random part of the game, in which he has to use for a certain time period, but that weapon will be replaced after about a minute. So what I figured I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same challenge, but instead of the weapon switching every minute, the weapon's going to be switching every second. So yeah, it's going to be ridiculous. So the way this works is that you need to type in certain commands to make this work. The first command you need to use to start the mod is timer enable. But after that, you can set the time in which the weapons swap. And so it does this. You can see I'm getting a new weapon every single second. And with these weapons, I can use them. Some are good, some are not so good. But with 1 second a weapon, this is going to be absolutely ridiculous. Okay, well, even though we've got this ridiculous first slot of this very broken weapon, I guess we should try and do some Terraria progress. Additionally, I forgot to mention, I am playing on my new PC right now, so I'm sorry if the video quality is slightly different to what you're normally used to. It's just taken me a while to set up, and I don't know if I've set everything up correctly. But this is going to be a very unique challenge to start this off with, and now I've got a much beefier PC, I can afford to do challenges that take up a bit more CPU power, so we've definitely got some very interesting weapons coming up shortly. Despite the ridiculousness of switching a weapon every single second, however, I'm going to be doing fairly standard progression, and I think that's a good thing because, I mean, we can take down these enemies fairly easily if we get lucky. Like, for example, if we get something like a Sun Fury, that's a second worth of a great weapon. But with some of the weapons we're getting right now, like the guns, bows, and even the Star Cannon, I can't actually use them yet because I don't have any of the ammunition for them. Oh yeah, in terms of the rules for this challenge as well, I'm not allowed to use any other weapon than the ones I'm provided with this mod. So this slot will never be changed and it's going to contain my weapon always. Okay, I'm starting to see some problems. I've been trying to kill this jellyfish, and it's so hard to predict that I was there for about 30 seconds trying to figure out how to best kill him. And to be completely honest, it just didn't work. Oh, additionally, the weapon category is locked to pre-hard mode weapons until I kill the wall of flesh, as far as I understand. Which is a good thing, because it's not too ridiculous. And, I mean, once we get to hard mode, I guess all tiers are going to switch, or, like, the tiers of weapon are going to switch to hard mode specifically. Although, honestly, this has not been a bad first cave. Like, we've gotten everything we need, so I'm not really too fussed about having a mediocre choice of weapons, or an amazing one, depending on how you look at it. Okay, looting thus far has been okay, mainly because weapons, or like enemies like the bats, pretty much get neutralized by a lucky, like, I don't even know, Knight's Edge or a Fiery Greatsword or something. And a bunch of these weapons are actually incredibly powerful, since they come from all different stages of hard mode. I mean pre-hard mode, sorry. Despite all of this, we seem to have our first chest, which could definitely be really good. The main thing we want is mobility, since other items are completely useless, and a battle regeneration is pretty nice. See, depending on what we get in this situation, this Granite Elemental could be absolutely lethal or really easy. So that kind of thing is going to be really scary later on in the challenge. And we found a nymph. Okay, well this is going to be interesting. If I can in fact kill her, but it's probably not going to be the case. Because I'm going to need some ridiculous luck with my weapons. And I don't think we've got that luck, sadly. Nope, we're dead, I think. Or unless... Nope, we're dead. Okay, that was a rather unique first session of looting, so I'm going to head to the right this time, because I have actually been on this world to test it, which is why you may have seen a tiny bit of wood on my character in the the beginning of this. Just because I needed to test this mod to get it working. Ooh, wait, I just did something. Okay, so I got an imp staff, and I actually managed to summon an imp, so I genuinely think it's fair if I keep this imp. That may sound really dumb, but since my weapons are switching every second, and with one of them it's not that great, I think allowing myself a tiny bit of help is going to be really nice, and I'm going to be allowing it. Oh, brilliant, another life crystal pretty much straight away here. This world seems to be really bizarre, because I've barely gone down in this place, and I'm already finding gold ore and life crystals, so it's a great world. Okay, it's time to see what incredible luck we get against this antlion charger, and wow, it actually seems like we got decent luck. So, judging by the amount of guns and bows I'm getting, I'm going to prioritize getting myself, well, first of all, Fallen Stars for the Star Cannon, as well as musket balls, and a fair amount of arrows as well, just so we can consistently use those weapons and turn a bunch of unusable weapons into very powerful ones. Okay, I accidentally got rid of my imp for a hornet staff, so I think that's a very cool way we can use summons in this playthrough. Because they're still technically randomized, because I can't control when I'm clicking and when they activate. So yeah, those are still going to be perfectly valid in my opinion. By the way, I do acknowledge that this early game is going to be ridiculous, and maybe even easier than regular Terraria for its early game, because I do have access to really endgame weapons for pre-hard mode. But the main challenge is going to come from doing boss fights. For example, I have a second of a good weapon to do as much damage as possible with said weapon, before it's gone forever and I'm pretty much screwed. So time-related bosses, such as Skeletron and the Eye of Cthulhu, are going to be absolute nightmares. Okay, looting is going great so far, and the amount of gold I've gotten, I'm fairly confident that I can make some gold armor, which I am considering doing potentially, but at the same time I may just put it into using tools and such, since that may be a better use of my time. Also, a plus I've realised whilst I'm here is the fact that I can get every single type of phase blade. Because there are, I believe, like, maybe 6 or 7 variants of the phase blades, they're a consistent weapon I can get, like, fairly often. And they're all very good at this stage of the game, but maybe when we're fighting bosses, not so much, since they are true melee. And that's going to do for desert hunting. Honestly, not as much loot as I wanted from that, but it's still fairly prestigious and successful, I guess, in the long run. It's also important to note we only need one more sapphire until we can get a grappling hook, which is obviously key if you've seen any of my content before. Alright, so although I'm being given some fairly powerful weapons now, which has been really generous thus far, I am noticing that some of these weapons could screw me up. So, for example, I'm trying to farm Fallen Stars for mana right now, but if I have some on me and I accidentally get a star cannon, then I'm kind of done, because that's just going to use all my stars up for it in a matter of seconds and then be gone. Okay, I was on my way to loot the ice cavern, but there's a corruption kind of welded into it. So I'm just going to pick myself up a musket, just for the sake of doing so, as it does sell for 3 gold coins, which is a very respectable amount, and what the heck? That is ridiculous timing. That was genuinely, like, frame perfect, I think. I'm going to wind that back for you guys just to see. But I think literally the frame I destroyed that orb, a meteorite landed, which is just unreal. At this moment in time, yo-yos are probably the most favourable weapon I can get. Because there's a lot of them for a start. They're all very decent, save for the wooden one. And, I mean, if I can get them, then it's pretty good knockback, very good range for a melee weapon. And it's just a weapon I can use whilst I'm looting very, very efficiently. Oh, brilliant. I'm seeing another life crystal up there, even though my eyes hurt from the amount of flashes going on, due to me using a different colour projectile every 4 seconds, but that's alright. Oh, we found Rattles McGee, so I'm going to buy a counterweight and some bombs also here. And I accidentally bought 202. What the hell was that? Oh, we found our first chest. It took long enough, but, I mean... Well, not technically our first chest, but our first ice chest, so hopefully the blizzard and the bottle is concealed within this. Damn, situations like that are really fun to do, because it just showcases a bunch of really powerful weapons you wouldn't normally use, and then they're all used to destroy one enemy. And in the chest we get... Oh my goodness, this couldn't be staged. I promise this is not staged. Well, that's pretty nice then. Okay, this challenge is really, really interesting so far. Honestly, this is one of my favourite things I've ever had to do in terms of challenge, because it's absolutely ridiculous. So, before the ridiculousness continues, I'm going to set up a small base, so that means just grabbing some prison builders, I guess, because I am using regular, standard quality of life mods for this playthrough, and truly just getting into it from there. Okay, there we go, and I'm going to smelt up all the ores we got through that endeavour. So hopefully we have enough to maybe make the starts of an armor set, but obviously tools are the priority right now. And luckily for me, I have just enough for both a gold axe and a gold pickaxe, so that's pretty nice to see. In terms of lead 2, that's 65 and a bit of tin 2, so not a bad first turnout, honestly, considering I've been playing for about 20 minutes. Okay, where I've shown the strengths for this mod so far, now you get to see some of the weaknesses. Killing an enemy like Pinky, who's incredibly annoying to fight for a start. This is not an easy thing to do, because none of these weapons are optimized for this fight, and by the time I've adapted to the weapon I'm using, it's gone, so really, really hard to use in that regard. Okay, the blood moon is rising. That's kind of interesting, because maybe getting a shark tooth necklace is a good idea, but I really don't know. Okay, the next upgrade is going to be the dig faster, which gives me 35% more mining speed, and when paired with a mining potion, I will be ridiculously quick. And to top it all off, I've also got 1 Spelunker potion, so if I pop these, I'm pretty much going to be able to loot out the speed of light, so this is going to be interesting. Hey, there we go, and to come along with it, we additionally get the legendary gravitation potion, so we can also pick ourselves up a lucky horseshoe and a shiny red balloon. Oh, brilliant. And to end off this entire session, we've got ourselves a gem cave and yet another life crystal. Perfect. And to top it all off, these gems are emeralds, which are actually one of the gems I have an abundance of. So once I pick these up, we're going to hopefully be able to make ourselves a staff. Not a staff, sorry, a grappling hook. And then we are in a much better place. Okay, let's recall from here, because that's a pretty good spot. It's still a blood moon, so I might be able to farm for a tiny bit, in hope that I do get myself that shark tooth necklace, but I'm not too fussed, honestly. Anyways, what I am fussed about is the fact that I have 15 emeralds now. So we're going to be able to make ourselves this amazing hook. And now that we have this mobility, I'm pretty much ready for the Eye of Cthulhu. Okay, one thing that's painfully obvious to me is the fact that I need to get 200 mana. Every time I get a magic weapon, I pretty much fire a one-shot of it, and it's basically just a cut of my DPS. So I'm going to, instead of focusing on the Blood Moon, get as many as I possibly can tonight. And then, after the Blood Moon's done, I'm going to be looting the Sky Islands. Well, and to top it all off, I actually found the meteorite, which is really nice. So on my way back from getting as many stars as possible, I'm going to grab that. And I'm going to craft myself a molten ham axe, as well as the full meteor set. Okay, that'll do for tonight, since I got another 2 stars. So we are up to 80 mana, so that's alright. In terms of the meteor, there we go. I mean, that's a fair amount. This wasn't exactly the biggest meteor I've ever seen, but it's still enough for the full set, at least for myself, if that makes sense. Okay, there we go. That should be enough from that trip, because I do have a fair amount now. And the reason I'm going for meteorite armor is because magic weapons, in my opinion, are one of our best outlets for early game damage. Because you've got weapons like the Demon Scythe, the Water Bolt, the Book of Skulls. All of those can pop up, and all of them are honestly amazing. Okay, with that all done, let's use the gravitation potion now. So, I don't really care for the Star Fury, simply because we do not need it in a challenge like this. So, obviously, both mobility items are exactly what I'm looking for here. Well, okay, we got our first island, and it did take a while, but at least we have it now. So, inside, we have a lucky horseshoe. Perfect. Okay, and I was about to run out of my potion, but just in the nick of time, we managed to get ourselves a second lucky horseshoe. Thanks, Woljin. Okay, all jokes aside, that's absolutely fine, since the shiny red balloon is not mandatory. And thanks to the Tinkerer NPC in Alchemist NPC Lite, we can actually buy the item once we get into hard mode, so no stresses here. Okay, the next step for myself has to be looting the jungle now, and if we find a Queen Bee summon down here, I'm genuinely tempted to give the fight a go, because even though I don't have any buffs, I'm kind of weak, and I'm not that good at the fight. I reckon there's a strong chance I can manage to beat the boss if I play my cards right, so I might as well give it a go. Also, the Lucky Horseshoe is a game changer for this stage of the game, because I can basically effortlessly run through biomes, and like I don't really need to worry about anything, which is really neat. And we got a cloud in a bottle from our first chest down here. That is amazing. And 2 life crystals standing directly next to each other. That's kind of cute, I guess. These enemies are actually dealing a fair amount of damage, though, and I'm not getting great weapons. So, yeah, this is being kind of difficult now. Alright, another chest wields me another pair of Hermes boots. That's fun. And that Cochino Busul almost took me out there. Oh my goodness, these enemies are tough. Okay, another life crystal there. I'm kind of struggling, in all honesty, and I think I'm dead now. So that's okay. We're still doing decently. And I found like 3 life crystals in that very short time span, so we should be up to over 300 life by now. Okay, with this mobility and the loadout we've been given, I reckon it's about time we do our first boss. So for this series, I think I'm going to be doing Skeletron. Mainly because I am quite confident on the boss, and if I can get myself a select few good weapons, I feel like it's an incredibly easy fight. Okay guys, so I decided to myself I wanted to do some bosses. So what I did was quite simply farm for some spawners and some buffs, and decided on the bosses I'm going to be doing. So I hope you guys are satisfied by my performance, and hopefully I don't get absolutely destroyed, which is a very strong possibility, come to think of it. Okay, I really don't know why I'm doing it, but my idea is I'm going to kill the Eye of Cthulhu before anything else, if I possibly can. We're going to get the Shield of Cthulhu, which is going to make the others much easier to kill, and from there we're in a pretty good spot, but it's not going to be easy. My main concern is killing the eye before it turns daytime, but he has a lot less health than Skeletron, and no annoying phases that increase his defense exponentially, so it should be fairly easy to kill the eye before the moon goes down. Along with that, both Queen Bee and King Slime are very easy to deal with. It's not really a matter of time for them, it's just defeating the eye before it goes, and once I get myself the Shield of Cthulhu, we're actually in a much better position to fight the other two, as I find the accessory actually really helps with both fights. Okay, my luck seems to have gotten much worse than before, because I'm not really getting any very good weapons. Obviously, they do, like, fluctuate, and it's not to be expected. I should not expect anything with this kind of challenge. And, for example, since I got a Demon Scythe there, that was pretty lucky, but still, I am slightly underwhelmed with the stuff I am getting. And hopefully when we're doing stuff like Skeletron again and the Wall of Flesh, we get some really good weapon RNG. Okay, the eye is taking a lot of damage now, which is a good thing. Although King Slime is definitely going to be a curveball for this final phase, because he's standing on the bridge. This was kind of a dumb idea now I think about it, but it's much more entertaining than just doing any of these fights on their own. And I think I am good enough at the game to consistently do these together. Okay, I'm actually starting to take a fair amount of damage now, so I need to start actually playing the game. And this final Eye of Cthulhu phase is really going to seal the deal, I guess, because the Shield of Cthulhu is mandatory. But this also does a lot of damage if you're not careful, so there's a very strong chance of me screwing up here. Okay, here we go, the Enraged State, and it seems like we got some really good weapons because the boss died really quickly. Now we, however, are at max health, so I'm going to open the treasure bag mid-fight, clear out some space in my inventory, and then we can kind of relax for a second and focus on the other two. Okay, yeah, the dash is really helping in this fight now. Honestly, I thought this was going to be a really bad idea at first, and I mean, technically speaking it was, because it's ridiculously hard. But I'm actually keeping up fairly well, so I guess after all the Eternity mode practice, stuff like this doesn't really affect me as much anymore. Okay, well I think I found sort of a bug, because I actually have the Arcalis effect, which I'm actually going to use to my advantage here. I'm just going to kind of run into the enemies, and try and take out King Slime even more quickly, but I am going to let go after this. There we go. Okay, the boss is actually getting really aggressive now, so I'm going to need to finish the fight as fast as possible. However, that is, again, easier said than done when the boss is being this annoying. And the fact that I can't hold a weapon for very long is also really causing me some issues. Mainly because, like, I can barely do any damage to the boss consistently, so it's literally just a gambler's chance. Okay, the boss is now on 100 HP. This has taken a lot longer than I'd like to admit, and the fight is still taking very long, but thanks to a couple of really lucky hits, I think we can officially call the fight victorious. There we go. In the chest, we managed to get the honeyed goggles, which is absolutely amazing. So I will definitely take that. I'm hoping for the slimy saddle as well, but we didn't get it, so this will be our mount for a while. Obviously, the Shield of Cthulhu was a great asset to us, so I'm definitely going to be using this pretty much for the entire rest of the game. Okay, but with that done, it's time to re-attempt Skeletron, and maybe the Eater of Worlds before I do that, come to think of it. Oh, and we got a Band of Star Power too. That's pretty nice for an accessory, although it's just past the stage of the game where it's useful to me, since I have a bunch of variously, like, useful items pretty much. So, okay, the Eater of Worlds is now here. I think I'm pretty safe to just sit inside of its body and do damage to it once I'm buffed up. Yeah, we should be okay to do this, as long as nothing stupid happens, but, I mean, there's always a chance of this kind of situation. The main goal here is to get myself some water bolts. A lot of these weapons are actually very bad for this fight, but that is okay, because if we can get a couple of water bolts, or some really good piercing weapons, like the staff you just saw there, then we are in a good spot. Oh, additionally, we don't need to win the fight, we just need enough shadow scales for the full set, because with low AFK there's a transversion you can do, which transfers all of your corruption stuff into crimson stuff, so I'm just going to do that to get the crimson armor, as it's much more diverse. And by the looks of things, we are about to die, but that is okay, since, I mean, we've gotten a bunch of shadow scales, probably enough for the set, but we haven't gotten a single water bolt yet, which is kind of sad. Okay, this may sound really dumb, but I promise there is actually a strategy to what I'm doing. I am trying to dodge every single head as best I can, whilst only taking hits from the body, which only does 1 damage a shot, so it's actually working really well for me. Oh my god, we actually won that. That is ridiculous. I did not expect to win that by the end because I just screwed up too many times, but I mean, we did it. Okay, I'll take that for sure. And I honestly don't really have much of a need for a molten pickaxe, so I'm just going to put all of the shadow scales we got into making this upgraded armor. Okay, so I'm going to convert all of our shadow scales into tissue samples and all of ore into crimson, just because these are better and they provide a better set bonus for us when we craft the armor. So there we go, and let's see if this is enough for the full set. So it looks like it, at least. Yes, and yes. We also have enough for the pickaxe, which is absolutely perfect. Okay, it is now officially nighttime and our second attempt at this boss. Hopefully we won't lose again because I lost really stupidly last time. Let's just see if our damage is enough. A key component to winning this fight now is going to be dashing into the hands aggressively. And this dashing into the hands is going to allow us to do so much more damage to the boss, like you would not believe how much it's going to help. The idea is to pretty much optimize the Shield of Cthulhu as if it was our primary weapon. And we are going to take a lot of damage, but thanks to our incredible regeneration, we are going to recover fairly quickly. And after we've recovered, then we are in an incredibly good spot from there. Okay, we're about a minute in, and I have taken a lot of damage, but I'm also dealing a lot more damage than before. So I'm genuinely quite optimistic about this fight in comparison, especially considering the hands are just absolutely being shredded. By the way, there are definitely smarter ways to do this fight that don't involve you dashing into the boss you're trying to kill. But, I mean, it's not as interesting or as fun as this in my opinion. Okay, now both hands are officially on the cusps of death. They have been slightly more difficult to hit recently, so I don't know if that's me just being an idiot or whatnot. But, I mean, there we go. We are officially into the second phase of the fight, and the fight is also fairly new. Okay, here's where the true issues come in. Because I need to get as much damage as humanly possible done to the boss in the shortest amount of time possible. But the issue with that is the fact that I physically cannot use my dash ability anymore. At least to the boss. I can dash away from him, but the head does too much damage, so dashing into the boss is not really an option. However, it does seem like we're getting some fairly decent weapons. Like, all of these weapons are doing a pretty good job in terms of the damage they're dishing out, and this might be it. Okay, we barely survived that, so I'm going to have to focus on dodging now. Jesus Christ. Okay, at this stage it's pretty much just a free fight. I just need to do as much damage as possible now. And, I mean, I really hope we can deal enough damage. It would be really embarrassing if we couldn't, because of the amount we've done so far. Okay, the boss is dying now, but I believe we've only got about 3.5 minutes left. Which is not ideal, but I do think we have just enough time to finish the boss off, as long as I don't screw up again with the head. Okay, we are in the final 10% of the fight. I almost screwed up again, which is really interesting. But I think we've just about recovered from it, and I mean, there we go. The fight is pretty much over. As long as I haven't mistimed this and it's about to turn daytime, then we should definitely have this as a victory. And I mean, I'm very happy that's the case. I was actually nervous for a moment. I thought this was going to be pretty much impossible. But there we go. It is done. Okay, I can't really be bothered to go get the Cobalt Shield now, so that's something I may do later if I'm struggling with the wall itself. But I honestly think it's pretty much time to fight the boss, since I don't really feel the need for getting molten tools. I may go for a ridiculous loot once we get into hard mode. And yeah, I guess I'm just going to prepare quickly, and then we can hop into the Wall of Flesh fight itself. Okay guys, I have absolutely maxed out my character, so what this means is getting all the buffs from vanilla and some of the more potions buffs, which is the complementary mod I'm using for this playthrough. This is to absolutely maximize our DPS really, and quite frankly, if this isn't enough, I really don't know what is, because this is pretty much the peak of our weapons. Okay, well, here we are, absolutely maximized for this fight. As said, if I can't do it like this, I really don't know what's going to let me do it. But I am optimistic in my ability now, so I guess there's no time like the present to give this a go. And the boss is here, and I'm already scared, alright. So, first of all, I really don't know if this is going to be enough, and if it isn't enough, then yeah, it's over. Because I guess the only thing I can do is do different runs and pray for better luck with the weapons I get. But it's fairly consistent in terms of the average in terms of the weapons you get to use. However, most of the attacks he does now are very minimalistic in terms of the effect they have on us. So this really allows us to get in close and do as much damage as possible. Like, we've already done 1,000 damage. Okay, here's where the big DPS comes in, the slimes. Now, these guys actually do a very respectable amount of damage now that I've got buffs for them. And yeah, I mean, this boy alone is going to do so much for us. Like, honestly, with the slime staff alone, this is probably doable. Wow, I really over-prepared for this, didn't I? Jesus Christ. As said, the slime staff is probably the most overpowered weapon for this fight. I don't really know the brain cells or logic behind that, but I will take it to the bank. And, you know, I'm very pleased with their power, honestly, because, as said, they are pretty much useless in every other stage of the game. Yeah, this was an absolute cakewalk. Now the lasers don't really deal any damage to us, and the weapons are actually being very nice to us, all things considered. We are absolutely shredding through the boss. The fight is pretty much a done deal at this stage, as long as we don't get absolutely atrocious luck for this final dash. As we are pretty slow comparatively to the boss, because we haven't got, like, frostbite boots and such, so This final push is going to be fairly unique. Okay, here we go. So 800 HP to the name. I need to run and just dash off as far ahead as possible, praying that the summons do any sorts of damage. And I accidentally bashed into an enemy. Okay, so just run. Just run. I need a star cannon or something. I need something, please. Please, something good, I beg. Oh god, I think I'm gonna die. It's not giving me anything good. Okay, well, we are moving really quick. Okay, so it looks like we're about to get it, I think. And oh my goodness, there we go. Jesus Christ. And I already see the hard mode weapons loaded in, and I'm very happy to see these weapons. These items are so much more powerful than anything we've seen before. And now that we have these on our side, I'm pretty sure there's nothing we can't do. But on that note, I'm going to be ending this first episode here. I figured this idea is such a cool concept that I want to put it into 2 parts and really give it the respect it deserves. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy, then feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I will see all of you in the next one. Peace out, guys.